Oh, right. Hello, guys. Welcome back to the channel. It is Eurovision season 2025. We are halfway through the season. Over halfway now. 21 out of the 37 songs have been revealed, have been released for our public ears to hear. So we're back with another tier list, another year, another tier list, just how it always is. I'm going to reduce the number of videos I do this year. I'm going to do one halfway through the season, one before, maybe one after. Engagement seems to go down after the contest happens, so we might do one now halfway through the season, one before, if I do it on the day, on the weekend, possibly. But for now, I think that'll suffice. Also, I'm going to aim to try and make the videos a bit quicker, be a bit more concise with my thoughts, a bit more rapid fire through these, because I'm sure nobody wants to sit through another 45-minute video of me rambling about nothing. So, with that being said, let's get to it as quickly as we can. Starting with the worst one, we're going from 21 again up to number 1. Same format as I did the last video because I think it flows smoother and it sort of, get more positive as it goes on. So people will want to see what's good, so they're more likely to watch the end, right? Please watch my video. Oh. Okay, number 21, bottom of the list, Slovenia. I think it was a fairly obvious opinion to have. A lot of people would have seen that one coming. I think the song is just too slow, too boring. It's a harsh criticism, I think, is boring, but I think it is. The subject matter, while necessary to cover, there should be songs that cover this kind of thing. I think it's far too depressing. I think it's far too dour and dire for Eurovision. As kind of weird as a statement as it is, you want to use the contest to promote positive values, positive diversity, but a song like this I think is just far too low on the mood. The sentiment's fine, the sentiment's nice, but I don't think it's suitable for the contest. I don't think it will do well. It's definitely not my taste, absolutely not my taste. I'm not a ballad enjoyer, as will become very clear. I've got this bottom tier 90 to 21 because these are the 3 songs I actively dislike. Anything past position number 19 is something I lean more positive towards. Top 10 are all fantastic. Well, top 10 are all great. Top 3 are genuinely fantastic. So at number 20, my second from the bottom, I have Spain coming in over from the side. So, Spain. I think the song itself is fine. It's not particularly interesting. It's got a decent groove. It moves decently. I think the staging is too messy for it to be good. I think it's an improvement from last year, which isn't saying much because I had last year as my bottom ranking of the entire contest. So they've moved up 1 position. I think it's a far cry from 2022-2023, the peak. I think Benidorm Fest really isn't doing its job these days to pick the right song to take it through. I think this is not going to do too well. I can see some positives in it, but I personally disagree with all of them. I think, as I say, despite the fact that there's a decent groove to it, I think it's not an interesting song. I think it's a very boring song, very one note. And as I say, everything about it is very messy. Performance was not where it should be. But who knows? There's time to improve. Maybe they do a revamp in it, makes it more interesting. I highly doubt it. Number 19, most controversial opinion I might have is that my number 19 entry goes to Malta. I think that this song, it might possibly be the biggest bait song Eurovision has ever seen. By that I mean it's a song that is made specifically to appeal to Euro fans, and that is it. It's a song specifically made to get televotes, and that is it. The juries will not give this anything. Maybe a couple of them might give this a bit. The juries won't give this shit. It is a Eurofan's wet dream of a song. There's not much to it. I think it's very tacky. I want to put my hands up and say I get the love for this song. I understand why this song has a cult following in the Eurovision fan base. I get it. I do. Alright. I think the production is actually good. I think most things about this song are good. Like, production-wise, melody-wise, I think it's interesting. I think everything happening in the background is good. I think even the staging, it's camp, but it's good. It's like good. It's funny. I think there's very much a place for it, that kind of thing. The exercise balls were abso-fucking-lutely hilarious. Throw me through a loop first time, I was laughing for about 5 minutes. The problem is, I can't take the song seriously. And you could say I'm not supposed to. Fair enough, you could say I'm not supposed to. You could say it's played as a joke. I don't think the song is fully a joke. I think there's supposed to be an empowering message behind it, which, is what it is. It's not for me. I'm sorry. I wish it was. But I think the lyrics just take too much away from it. I can get over shit lyrics, provided the song gives me something else. This song, while it's okay, the production parts are fine, the lyrics take too much away. The main draw of the song is the lyrics. There is another song later on in this list which has a similar problem, where the lyrics are extremely tacky, but everything else about the song is made to an absolute perfection that I have it much higher in my ranking, if that makes sense. Whereas with Cunt, the lyrics are the only draw. The only thing that you're supposed to pay attention to here is the lyrics. And I think it is what it is. Alright, we move on. We go up a tier. We are looking at Montenegro. I'm not a ballad enjoyer. I am very much not a ballad enjoyer. I think that's been made clear through my previous videos. I can appreciate a good ballad. I liked Slimane last year. That's aged poorly, but I liked Slimane last year. I can appreciate a ballad where it's good. I just think that you need to do something more interesting than this. I just think that we've seen this ballad before. We've seen this kind of song before. It's just not breaking any new ground. You submit this in 2014, maybe you got a winner, maybe you got a top contender, but right now, no. It's been done too many times, it's been seen too many times. She's got a great voice. Spoiler alert, 90% of the performers here have a great voice. Simply having a great voice does not make you stand out among the 20 contenders so far, up to 37 by the end of the season. It's fine, that's about it. Same can be said, I think, for Italy. So each year there will be one ballad to which I gravitate myself towards and think, holy shit, this is great. And it clicks just out of nowhere. That, as I said, last year was Slimane. This year was supposed to be Ollie because I absolutely loved Balorda Nostalgia. I thought it was an absolutely incredible song. Resonated with me so much, and then he said no. So we've got this instead. Look, I'm not saying that it's a bad song. I'm not saying it's not. I think it's a fine song, but in modern Eurovision in the year of 2024, fine is simply not good enough. As I say, I'm not a ballad guy. I'm not the best person to be reviewing this. I think it's a fine song. But that can only take you so far, and I think this just does not have the legs for a high finish. Maybe left side, I doubt it. Maybe juries help him get that far. Alright. Moving on to number 16, we have Lithuania. Tavo Akis. I want to like this. I really do want to like this. I think the production is interesting. I think the singer has an interesting voice. And it has the makings of a kind of song I would like. A slow build into ramp to a banger finish. The problem is that the payoff for the ramp up finish is not there. It reminds me very much of Musty last year, where with Musty everything escalated and all exploded at the end. And while, the live performance didn't replicate that, the studio was incredible to listen to for that very reason. I think with Lithuania, it's not the case. Lithuania does not have that listenability. While I can see the positives in it, and I can see it growing on me, I can. Right now, it's not. Right now, it's not where it really could be. As I say, that may change. That very much may change over the course of the season. By the end, this may have a Georgia on me, where it just goes from mid to bottom ranking straight up to my top 5, because it just clicks one day, and I'm going, Tavo, Tavo, by the end, it's entirely possible. But right now, it sits towards the bottom. Now we go to Greece. It's the best of the ballads so far, I think. If I look at the rest of the board, yeah, ballads this year have not been too good. But it doesn't do anything particularly outstanding. Again, she's got a great voice, but as I said before, having a great voice is just not enough. Staging was very average. It is very much just an average good ballad. It's like what every good ballad looks like. As I say, it could grow. I doubt it, but at the moment, very competently produced, very well sung. Not much more to say. Next up, we have Ukraine. This was in my bottom 3 at the start when it was first announced. When I first listened to it, it has grown on me a lot. Listening to the lyrics has sort of helped me to like the song a bit more, find a bit more enjoyment in the song. I think his voice is interesting to listen to. Because I think it's one thing having a great voice, a good singing voice. But if the contest was just about having a good singing voice, then, you know, you'd have the entire country of Malta entering, right? That's not how this goes. You need to have a good voice, but also an interesting voice. And I think that's what Ukraine does well, is that the voice of the lead singer is interesting to listen to, as well as being very competently sung. I just think, you know, the song is a bit one note. It doesn't really escalate during the song. But at the moment, yeah, I mean, it was started in my bottom 3. It's risen up quite a bit. Who knows, it may go further, depending on what the other songs are. It might end up being in my top half because, you know, being position number 13 right now, or 14, isn't a bad thing. Who knows? There's still 20 songs left to go. By the time they're all revealed, it could still be 14, and there's 20 songs below it. Who could say? Moving on to my 13th position, which is Poland. This has had quite a journey for me. So last year, for those unaware, fans of Justina were relentlessly, ruthlessly, that's a bit over-exaggeration, but it was not pleasant, were, I want to say, harassing Luna after she beat Justina in the jury selection. And that left a very bad taste in my mouth as a fan of Luna at the time. Now, Justina herself I have no issue with, but this song initially started at the bottom. At the bottom of my ranking, I said I wasn't going to touch it, I wasn't going to go near it, because I didn't want to give Justina fans the satisfaction of, you know, listening to the song and enabling that kind of behavior from them. But in the end, I gave it a try. I was like, you know what, no, let bygones be bygones. The artists themselves have no beef with each other, so there should be no reason to, you know, force that upon myself. Listened to the song, thought, actually, this is fantastic. This is really, really good. This is really well sung. Had it in my top 5 for a little bit. Since then, I think the song has fallen, because I think I've seen it for what it is. It's quite a one-trick pony song. She has a fantastic belt on those sustained notes, and she can hold them really well. Those sustained notes are incredible to listen to, and the performance itself is fantastic, but that's where the song falls apart, I think. The performance disguises the fact that a lot of the song is quite boring. It's not the most interesting song to listen to. But if you watch the performance, if you watch the video of her performing it at the national final, oh my god, it blows you away. But then listening to the song, just like in your own time, doing whatever, I think it brings it down quite a lot. Now, obviously this is a performance contest. It's not just about the song, it's about the staging, it's about the performance and the vocals and everything to go with it. So maybe that's an unfair ranking, but right now it's on my opinion, and my opinion of the song has been harmed, should I say, by the lack of listenability. As I say, staging will probably raise it back up again, because that's how Justina seems to operate. Her songs are mid to average, but her stagings are phenomenal, and that's what elevates the songs and makes them so memorable. So, number 12 position, I have Ireland. Like a Party has had a very interesting journey throughout my rankings. It started off as one of the songs I really didn't like. It went on first listen, I hated it. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was just like, you know, MGP reject, which it is, but that's besides the point. Then I started to ironically like it. I was like, oh, you know what? Actually, this is the worst song ever. Fuck it. What if it wins? You know, I started to ironically be like, yeah, I'm a fan of Like a Party, just out of, I guess, spite for the fact that I thought it was bad. I don't know. In the end, I grew to unironically like it, and by the night of Eurosong, I was heavily rooting for this song to win. Like, not even from an ironic perspective of like, ha ha ha, wouldn't it be so silly and funny if this went? No, I was actually like on Team Emmy. I was like ready. I was like, yes, Like a Party is my Eurosong winner. Then she performed it, and it went. Now it finds itself somewhere in the middle. I think it's a fun song. I think it's an interesting premise. I think the production's quite basic, but it's catchy, so it sticks in your head. It's got the "We Will Rave" like fake gibberish speech chorus, where you know it really does stick with you, but after a while it gets annoying. I think the lyrics are a little childish, even if the premise is interesting. I think you could do a little more with it. You know, I've seen people calling this like a junior Eurovision song, which, yeah, it's fair enough. It kind of is. But at Segway, do you know what's not a junior Eurovision song? And what I think is very much overhated by that regard, I've seen those comparisons way too often, and they're quite unfounded, is my 11th position, Luxembourg. I think the JSC comparisons for this are very unwarranted and very harsh, because I think the song tackles a subject matter to which is much further beyond what Junior Eurovision would do. So it's an homage to a previous Luxembourgish or French, one of the two, I don't remember exactly, an entry from, I think, the 60s, I want to say, which was a song about, I'm sure most of you watching know this already, but just if you don't, song about, it was a song sung by a female singer who was singing about, you know, being a doll, being a puppet, being controlled, as sort of like a poke at the music industry to which artists and female artists would be have their careers controlled and dependent on by male producers, managers, and stuff like that. So this is like a retelling of that from the opposite perspective of like a, you know, I am a puppet that you can't control. Sorry, I'm not a puppet you can control kind of thing. So I think that that's a bit more depth to have warranted junior Eurovision comparison. Staging, sure, whatever, you can call it that, but I think that's a bit of a harsh comparison. What I will give the song is that it's produced very well. It's a ridiculous earworm. It's an incredibly good earworm. The song sticks in your head and it does not leave. You know, it's not particularly amazing. The song doesn't really go anywhere too amazing. There's a little vocal moment, but it's, you know, it's very, very competent, very, very well executed. It's solid 11th place. Finland. Okay, so I think the thing with Finland, I think part of this is spite, because part of this is that I'm sick and tired of the fandom hyping this up as the winner. It's not winning. It won't happen. Erika Vikman is not winning Eurovision. I'm saying it now. 2 reasons. A, her vocals are not nearly as good as some of the other performers here. The juries will not give her points. B, I think that the first 2 minutes of the song, the staging is incredibly boring and bland. I'm not saying it's bad, right? It's my 10th. I like the song. The song is incredibly catchy. It's, you know, a big crowd plays a chorus. Erika herself, she is a fantastic performer. She's a godlike performer. And part of the reason why she can get away with having such nothing staging for 2 minutes is because she can just control the stage. She has stage presence like nobody else in Eurovision so far. She can control a stage in a league of her own. She's incredible at that. However, the caveat is, this was my bottom place at UMK. I think any of the other Finnish songs would be higher on my list. That said, I think most of the other Finnish songs would not be as high on most people's lists. So it probably is for the better for Finland that this won, because I think that, you know, it's going to get a high placement. It will get a high placement. It will be at minimum top 5. It's not winning. you know, any of the other 5 UMK options would be higher on my ranking. Would be, yeah, even Nightmares, my 5th place, would be 3rd on my ranking. So any of the others would be way higher on my ranking, but on the vast majority of people's rankings, they will be much lower. So this was probably the best option for Finland, but for me personally, I'd have preferred the others. Right, number 9, I am looking at next door neighbors to Finland. We have Estonia. Tommy Cash. Speaking of earworms, I guess, going from Luxembourg, this is a fucking earworm, isn't it? This just stays in your head. I think the production is incredible. I think the jazz is very jazzy. Got a nice swing to it. I think the live performance of his could have been a bit better. I think a lot of people's opinions fell on this after the live because he wasn't great. The vocals weren't fantastic. It was still good. It was a good performance. I think his dancing was very funny. His wacky waving inflatable arm flailing like spaghetti arms. That was funny. Very well performed. Very well sung. Not so much. Well performed? Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good song. It's a catchy song. Very, very high potential. We'll have to see what happens. 8th place right now is Latvia. So, this is another one where the performance carries. The performance carries this hard. The song itself, while it's got really interesting melodies, you know, the song doesn't stay on each section for too long. You know, you're getting bored of one part of the song, it moves on, it moves to the next part, and then later on we'll revisit that part again, so you're like, oh, connecting the melodies in your head, there's no real, like, proper hook. You've got the Birdman section, which I wouldn't really consider the chorus of the song. It doesn't really have that, it transitions from section to section, then goes back and transitions through them again, which is really cool, very unique. And their harmonies are brilliant. All 6 of them together when they sing all together is lovely, very pleasing to the ears. Lyrical depth, ugh, who needs it? What I will say is that the performance carries this way higher than it should be. You know, without the performance, it's got some interesting points, but it's quite a boring song. It's maybe an 11 to 18, maybe like a 15th place, maybe above Greece kind of thing. Performance, perfection. It's so mystical, it's so intriguing. It's so just, it leaves you asking questions, it leaves you wanting more. Wanting to know more, and that's great. Top 10, very, very well done, very good performance, very well performed, very well sung, fantastic. Number 7, for me, I have, again, quite maybe controversially, I have Albania. I think people would be wanting this top 3 by now. Look, I think that the song is just too big of a dichotomy for it to be a proper consistent top. I think that Beatrice is incredible. She sings amazingly. She has such charisma. She controls the stage really well. Obviously, the production, the instrumentals, everything about that is fantastic. I loved that at the National Final there's a live orchestra, which maybe even adds to the song. However, I think the spoken part loses a lot of momentum. I think that he's not too good on stage. He looked quite almost nervous. He was very stiff. Maybe that's part of the character. Maybe that's what he does. Maybe that's part of his job. I'm not sure. But it did look like it took away from the performance. It looked like it took away from the vibe. It's still a bop. It's still fantastic. It's incredible. It's one of Albania's best ever entries, like, of all time. It's so good. But I have a feeling, I have a very bad premonition that this is going to be this year's Gorta. I think that this is going to be the Eurofans' favourite. This is going to be the Eurofans, like, they love this. This is what they want to see from most countries. But I think that this is not going to have televote appeal. I think it's not going to have enough jury appeal to get a higher placing. I think that... Now, what I will say is that this is overall, or so far, a weaker year than last year. So maybe that means that more people turn this turns heads from more people compared to what it would last year, where there's a much higher bar of competition. But I think that I just have a premonition that this is not going to place as high as a lot of people think it will. Let's move on. Number 6, I have Norway. Norway is an absolutely awesome, awesome example of how to do a very just competently produced pop song. I think it is pop perfection. I think it is like exactly what a lot of countries like when they submit a generic pop song. This is what they're aiming for. This is what they want to be. I think again, similar to Latvia, I think the performance carries a lot of it. I think that a whole major reason why this was the winner of MGP is just because the performance was so good. It was dynamic. He sung very well. There was constantly things happening, constant moving, and it was just very, choreography was great. It was just a very, very good performance all around. Nothing was out of place. There was no slow moments that got you sort of bored. It was just very, very competently done. Exceptionally well performed. Song is a good bounce. It's got slightly more interesting instrumentation than most other pop songs. I think the synths do more. It's great. It's a very, very, very good song. This is how you do a pop song and make it a high placer. Very, very good. Next up, I have Armenia at my number 5. This is like, what if Believer by Imagine Dragons was actually good? So obviously Believer by Imagine Dragons is a very contentious song in the world of pop music. A lot of people hate it. This is like, what if that was done well? It's got a good message about picking yourself up and fighting and carrying on. But it's also hype as shit. This is great gym music. This is really fucking good gym music. Much like Finland, it's got a very crowd pleaser chorus. A lot of chanting. Everybody can get involved with it. I think he performs it very dynamically. He's got a lot of energy. He's got a lot of attitude, and that's great. I think his vocals could be improved, but he just sells the song. He just sells the song. That bit at the end where he gets up onto like that little mountain rock formation behind him with the hand up. That was hype as shit to end it off. Very, very good. Very good shit. This is really, really strong song. It should easily be qualifying. I can see a good finish for this. Maybe not as strong as La Neva, but I can see a decent finish with this. Very, very good. Next up, we have Azerbaijan. I think this is this is more pop perfection. With a little more pizzazz to it. With that little ethnic instrumental. The saz lives rent-free in my head. That fucking saz section at the end of the chorus, oh my god. It's so catchy. It's the earworm. Oh my god. His voice is quite interesting as well. The music video, they have a lot, clearly as a band, they have a lot of interesting ideas. They have a lot of creativity behind them. So I'm excited to see what the performance looks like here. I think this has a lot more potential than their songs of previous years, because it's more upbeat. It's more like, I can see more people engaging with this than previous years. I think this has a lot higher potential. The fandom reception's very mixed. It's hard to tell a lot what people think about this, because a lot of people also see this as just another boring pop entry from Azerbaijan, which, hey, may well be the case. But right now, it's high on my list. I think it's my most listened to song of the season so far, just because I keep wanting to go back to that saz section. It's so good. But yeah, this is again extremely well executed pop song. Solid performance. All right, number 3. We're moving into the top 3. These are all 10 out of 10s. These are all just incredible stuff. I don't have much negative to say, if any, about any of them. So, first of all, we have Belgium as my number 3. Belgium, home of Tomorrowland, home of EDM. And here they are with an EDM banger like no other. He's got the best voice of the year by far. It's very rare that you have a song like this where it is so clearly the best just EDM, like dance music of the year. But also he has the best voice. They win in both regards. How? I don't know. How they've managed to find this combination, who's to say? Just fantastic. They've got the full package. Great voice, great song, great staging. I don't know how this can possibly go wrong. I think a lot of people are underrating this because they're like, oh, ooh, why do so many people like this? I'm going to hate it because I want to go against the grain. I don't think that's a fair thing. I think that this is going to do incredibly well. Juries will gravitate towards this because holy shit, his vocals. Televote will gravitate toward this because holy shit, that production. It's got very high potential. Staging was already good at Belgium Eurosong. Yeah, surely it'll be even better at Eurovision too. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Fucking great. So, earlier I was mentioning in the Malta section about questionable lyrics that that don't take away from the song because there's so much else to enjoy. Australia is exactly what I mean by that. The lyrics of the song are questionable to almost to a fault, where the innuendos are so in your face and so obvious that you almost think, oh, it's a bit cringe, isn't it? And that's true. That is true, yes. But when has questionable lyrics ever stopped anybody before? Let's be real. This song has the best production of the year, bar none. Everything, the melodies of the instrumentation, everything is just perfect. It just hits so well that you can almost ignore what's being said. This, he seems like a very, very good performer. He seems like a very, very interesting character to have on a stage. This song has such incredible potential. Another big reason now why I think that Finland is not a winner contender is because this song is in direct competition, and as scandalous as it may be to say, I think he might give Erica a run for her money in terms of performance. He seems like he's got a vision. He seems like he's got an idea, something he wants to bring to life. I am very excited to see where this goes. I am very high on this song right now. I don't think they could improve it much in terms of the song itself. This has such high potential, and if it flops, I'm going to come back to this video and look like an idiot. But right now, this is a 10 out of 10. Everything about this is so good, except the lyrics. But when has that ever stopped anybody before? Genuinely very excited to see what happens here. And finally, my number one. I have a little bit of a story with this. So, I was not caught up on a lot of the national finals, not caught up on a lot of the internal selections and what was going on in the Eurovision. So I hopped into a call with some friends a couple of months ago now, just to go over and have a look at what was happening. And we were listening to a couple of, I think it was some of the Serbian entries, maybe Croatian. And I was like, damn, this shit's boring. You know what we need? We need a sea shanty. That would be funny. And at the time, I was not expecting a genuine answer to that question. I was saying it as a joke. I thought, yeah, let's get a sea shanty in here. Why is there no sea shanties in Eurovision? And my mate says to me, oh, you want a sea shanty? You should go check out Iceland then. And I was like, what? I did not expect there to be an actual answer to that question. And the second I heard this, I knew that this was going to be my number one of the year. Holy fucking shit. It's so good. It's a fucking EDM sea shanty. It's a fucking banger. It's a banger. It's a banger. It's so it's brilliant. Everything about it's in Icelandic. It's up tempo. It's upbeat. It's a fucking dance sea shanty by Jedward Twins, Icelandic. It's so good. This is perfect. It's I could not ask for a better song this year. Oh my god. I am so ready for this. They will qualify. It's happening. There are a lot of people I've seen saying they're in queuing. No, not even close. This is the best song of the year by far. Like, genuinely, this ticks every box that I look for in a song. I will be listening to this for years, and it will never get boring to me. And on that note, I think I'm going to end the video there. Fucking... If Vibe failed to qualify, I don't know. I will do something. I don't know what I will do. I will do something embarrassing on camera. Maybe put it here. Probably not. Anyway, yeah. So that's the thoughts for this year. A lot of positives, a lot of negatives. I think overall, so far, at least after 20 songs, the year is leaning more positive. It's not as strong as 2023. It's not as strong as 2024. But it's still good. It's still good. Most of the songs are still pretty solid. Is there a clear winner contender yet? Not quite. I think if you look at what's currently there, I think maybe Norway or Belgium at the moment. And even then, I hesitate to say they have winner potential because they're not screaming winner. I think maybe Belgium if I had to pick one. Obviously, there's Mons seems to be the overwhelming favourite in the odds right now. I really hope he does not win the Swedish selection. I really hope that Batsu wins instead. But we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks' time at Melfest Day. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you around. Hopefully in the next video after all of the songs are revealed, and we'll go through and do some updates, do some looks at the new songs too. Anyway, see you around, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.